If you watched our Social Security video, you already know the foundation. Social Security is not a supplement to your retirement. It's the cornerstone. But here's the question that video didn't answer. What if $2,500 a month, what if it isn't enough for your retirement, your lifestyle, where you live? What if your number has to be more like $3,500 a month? Today, I'm going to show you 5 specific income layers on top of Social Security that closes that gap. Without $1 million in the bank, without going back to a full-time job, and without giving up the freedom that a retirement is supposed to deliver. Now stay with me, because layer 3 is the one most people in this audience you've never even thought of. And it might already be sitting in your skill set right now. So before we build anything, you need one piece of real information, your actual Social Security benefit estimate. Not a guess, not a national average, your number. Because the strategy we build today only works if it's built on your foundation, not Maria's, not your neighbor's, yours. So here's what I want you to do before you watch another video. Not another minute of this one or any other video we've done. Go to ssa.gov. Create a My Social Security account if you don't have one. It'll take you about 10 minutes. What you will find there is your estimated monthly benefit at 3 ages. 62, your full retirement age, which for most of us, 66, most of us 67, and 70. Write those 3 numbers down on a piece of paper. Those numbers are your target. Everything we're about to talk about is the gap between that target and $3,500 a month. And that gap, for most people watching, it's smaller than you think. Let's close it. Here's a number that most people collecting Social Security have never heard. $24,480. That's the 2026 earned income limit for Social Security beneficiaries who are below their full retirement age. You haven't hit 67 yet. That's $2,040 a month. Below that number, you keep every single dollar of both your Social Security benefit and your earnings. Read that again. You can work, you can earn, you can collect Social Security and do it all at the same time. As long as your earned income stays below $24,480 a year, nothing is withheld. Now, if you earn above that limit while under your full retirement age, $1 in benefits is temporarily withheld for every $2 you earn over that limit. I want to be clear on the word temporarily. These withheld dollars are not lost, they're added back to your benefit once you reach full retirement age. The government is holding them, not keeping them. And if you're reaching your full retirement age in 2026, the limit is significantly higher. It goes up to $65,160 for the months prior to your birthday. Above that, $1 is withheld for every $3 over the limit. Again, temporarily. What this means practically is this: a 63-year-old collecting $1,400 of Social Security benefit who earns $2,000 a month from flexible work is bringing in $3,400 a month. That's within reach of our $3,500 target from Social Security and one income source, before we've touched savings, rental income, or anything else. Now, layer 2 is specifically for those of you who still have a few years before retirement. This one takes some time to set up correctly, but the payoff, it can be significant. Buying a rental property that generates between $600 to $900 a month net is enough to close most of the remaining gap to $3,500. So the question is, how do you get there without overpaying for it? Here's one approach it's worth thinking about. Instead of buying a turnkey, right, beautiful, already fixed up rental property at full market price, you look for a property that needs work. A home that has been neglected, a dated kitchen, deferred maintenance, maybe some cosmetic problems that scared other buyers away. You buy it below market, you put in the work, either yourself or with contractors, and you force the equity appreciation. The property is worth more because you made it worth more, not because the market handed it to you. Now, let me give you a real scenario. This works in some parts of the country, and in some parts it absolutely doesn't. I get that. But where you can find them, a $140,000, let's call it a duplex, in a mid-size, off to a little smaller market. One side rents at $1,100 a month. After mortgage, taxes, insurance, and a property manager. Property manager is around 10% of the rent. Your net is approximately $650 to $750 a month. That property also, hopefully, will appreciate over the years between now and your retirement. The 4% rule on a savings account doesn't do that. Now, look, the objection I know that's coming, hey, managing a rental is a second job. That is true if you self-manage the property. A property manager at 8 to 10% of monthly rent, they handle the tenant call, they handle the marketing, they handle the maintenance, the coordination, rent collection. Your job becomes getting the check out of the mailbox. That's not a second job. That's as close as you're going to get to passive income with one layer of management between you and it. Now, this next one is the layer I promised you at the top of the video. And it's one of the most powerful one that most people in this audience, you just don't think about it. And you don't think about it systematically. The question is not, what job can I do in retirement? That's the wrong question. The right question is, what can I already do that someone will pay me for on my schedule? Here's a simple 3-step process to find your answer. Step 1, ask yourself, do I have a skill that could be outsourced immediately? Not learned, not built. It's a skill that already exists inside you right now. Accounting, writing, project management, teaching, sales, operations, healthcare knowledge, legal knowledge, technology. If you've spent 30 years doing something professionally, someone will pay you for that expertise without requiring you to show up at an office 5 days every single week. Step 2, ask the people around you. Ask your coworkers, hey, what job do you think I should try in retirement? Ask your boss, what do you think I'm uniquely good at that most people aren't? Ask your friends, hey, what do people always call you for advice about? Those answers, they're going to tell you something about your marketable skills that you may just be too close to see yourself. Step 3, pay attention to the questions people consistently ask you. If people always ask you how to fix things, there's a business. If people always ask you for financial clarity, there's a consulting service. If people always ask you, how do you navigate this bureaucratic process, there is someone who will pay you to navigate it for them. Now, let me give you specific examples of what this looks like in practice. Jobs that give you complete time flexibility and some real income. 1, substitute teaching. Depending upon the school district, depending upon the state in which you live, you might get $120 to $180 a day. You choose your days. You take summers off. In many districts, it will include health benefits, which matters enormously if you're retiring before Medicare at 65. You could be a notary signing agent, $75 to $200 per appointment. Entirely schedule driven. Certification will run you $500 to $1,000. You work when you want and you stop when you want. How about an Airbnb host? $400 to $800 a month in most markets. If you have a spare room or a guest house, the guests come to you. You set the availability, you set the rules. It's freelance. Now, how about bookkeeping for small businesses? $25 to $45 an hour. It's remote. There's a high demand. It leverages decades of your professional experience. Small business owners desperately need this and consistently struggle to find reliable, proven, experienced help. How about flexible delivery? $18 to $25 an hour, no commitment, no schedule, work the mornings you feel like it, take the afternoons off. The thread connecting all of these examples, it's not the income, it's the calendar. In every one of these options, you control your time. That is the product that you are selling, not your labor, your flexible labor. And that distinction makes all the difference in whether retirement feels like freedom or feels like a job that you didn't choose. Now, this last one feels like the last mile of a marathon, all right? Layer 4. Like the rental property, this is really for those of you that have a few years still before you make that retirement decision. This window is short, and it is disproportionately powerful if you use it intentionally. Here's what most people don't realize about the final years up to, leading to, right, your retirement. The math works in your favor in a way it never did earlier in your career. The IRS gives you what's called a catch-up contribution. In 2026, anyone over 50 can contribute $24,500 to a 401k annually. That's the standard $24,500 limit. However, there's also an $8,000 catch-up provision, $32,500 per year. And if you're between the ages of 60 and 63, the IRS gives you an even higher catch-up provision, $11,250. Now, that makes your total annual contribution ceiling $35,750. Now, let me show you what compounding does with that over 3 years. I'm going to use a conservative rate. Let's call it 6% of return. Now, there's a principle here that's called the rule of 72. It tells you how long it takes money to double at a given interest rate. So let's use what we just had. So we divide 72 by your rate of return, in this case, 6%. 72 divided by 6, your money doubles approximately every 12 years. 3 years of maximum catch-up, contributions at $32,500 per year. It's roughly $97,000 contributed. At a 6% growth over those 3 years, that becomes approximately $115,000. 115 at the 4% rule generates $383 a month in retirement income. $383 a month from 3 intentional years of aggressive saving. That's not a rounding error. That's a meaningful piece of the gap to $3,500 every single month. And if you're a dual income household, both using catch-up contributions, the numbers are really significant. Now, the last mile of the marathon is where most people decide to coast. It's also where the most ground is won. Now, layer 5. I'm speaking directly to those of you who may have a pension, and you may not think this applies to you. Layer 5 is for that group of people who often tune out retirement content because they assume it doesn't really apply to them. Pension holders, government workers, teachers, military, union members, people who have spent careers in roles that still offer defined benefit pensions. Now, here's what most pension holders don't realize. The math for them is even more favorable than for anyone else in this audience. A modest pension of $300 to $500 a month combined with a Social Security benefit, let's call it that $1,400 to $1,600 a month, combined with this one flexible income source from layer 3 gets most pension holders to $3,500 a month with minimal savings required. Let's run a real scenario. Let's call it a retired teacher with a $400 monthly pension, a Social Security benefit of $1,500. She loves to teach. Let's go back and substitute teach 2 days a week at $150 a day, $300 a week, $1,200 a month. 400 plus 1,500 plus 1,200, $3,100 a month. 400 short of our target, but that's just one additional day of substitute teaching per week that closes that gap entirely. Look, if you have a pension and you are not behind, you're likely ahead and you didn't even know it. Let me show you the full stack one more time. Social Security, your foundation, $1,400 to $1,600 a month for most people in this audience. Layer 1, earned income within the sweet spot, up to $2,040 a month without any benefit reduction. Layer 2, a single modest rental property, $600 to $900 a month for those who build it in the years ahead, so preceding retirement, if the skill set fits your skill set to do the rehab, the remodel, or to manage contractors who do it for you. Layer 3, flexible income from a skill you already have. $400 to $800 a month on your schedule. Layer 4, 3 years of aggressive catch-up contributions, $300 to $500 a month in additional retirement income. Layer 5, a pension, if you have one, $300 to $500 a month that stacks cleanly on top of everything else. You don't need all 5 of these. Most people need 2 or 3. The point, it's not to overwhelm you with options. The point is to show you that a $3,500 a month retirement is not a wealthy person's retirement. It is a strategically constructed one. And every layer I showed you today is available to someone today watching this video right now. So before you do anything else, go get your Social Security estimate from ssa.gov and do it tonight. That one number will tell you how far you actually have to go. And for most of you, it's a much shorter distance than you've been told. Next week, we're going to go deeper on layer 3, the flexible income options, because that conversation deserves its own full video. Subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you there.